I'm getting ready to show you how to crochet the eggs for my elephant lovey. This elephant lovey, you know, the one I'm redesigning. Here's a look at what I'm using in today's tutorial, and I'll list everything in the description for you. The construction of this is pretty similar to the arms. If you didn't watch that video, you can check it out here. We'll work in continuous rounds, start at the bottom, and work our way up. I'll also show you how to use the puff stitch to make some nails so we don't have to stop and put those in later with sewing and embroidery. We'll also close up the top so all the stuffing stays in the legs and doesn't escape into the body. Here's a look at all the stitches and techniques I'll be using in today's tutorial, and you can find videos on those in the description. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get crocheting.
Let's start by making the first leg. Before making a magic ring, leave about a 10-inch tail. We'll use that to sculpt the bottom of the leg and close up the top. Then make 6 single crochets into that ring. When you're done, make sure you lay that tail in front of your work before moving on. This is going to allow us to access it easily when we're done and it's time to sculpt. Okay, round 2. Increase into every stitch. I don't know about you, but after round 2, I need some help counting my stitches. So I'm going to mark the last stitch I made. And now I'm ready for round 3. Let's put a single crochet in the next stitch. Then we need to increase in the stitch after that. These stitches will be repeated 5 more times, which will end the round with a total of 18 stitches. Round 4 also has a repeat, and it's making a single crochet in the next 2 stitches. Then we can increase in the stitch after that. Repeating that sequence 5 more times should put you at the end of the round with a total of 24 stitches. We'll increase our stitch count again in round 5 using a similar repeat. Single crochet in the next 3 stitches. Now increase in the next stitch. Repeating those stitches until you get to the end of the round should leave you with a total of 30 stitches. Before we start the next round, let's shift our starting point by making a slip stitch into the next stitch. Then chain 1, but don't turn your work. Instead, move your stitch marker so that slip stitch becomes the last stitch in the round. Crochet in the back loops only for this next round, making a single crochet into every loop. Be careful not to miss the first stitch. I've done this before and then I wonder why my stitch count is off. So I recommend counting your stitches when you're done with this round just to make sure everything adds up before starting the next one. Now grab the white yarn so we can crochet those nails in. But first, put a single crochet in the next 11 stitches. Let me speed this up a little bit to show you that next step. Change over to the white yarn as you finish that 11th single crochet. Start the puff stitch by yarning over and then inserting your hook just below the next available stitch. Yarn over and pull through the stitch, making sure you pull up the loop to the same height of the single crochets you're making. Then yarn over and go back into the same stitch. Yarn over and pull up that loop. We need to do that one more time. Yarn over and insert your hook into the stitch. Yarn over and pull up that loop. To finish this off, yarn over using the gray yarn and pull that through all the loops on the hook. Now put a single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and just like before, change over to the white yarn just as you're finishing off that second single crochet. Ready to make another nail? Let's make a puff stitch again. Remember to insert your hook just below the next available stitch. And just like before, you should end the puff stitch by yarning over the gray yarn and pulling it through all the loops on your hook. Let's put a single crochet in the next 2 stitches and change over to that white yarn before finishing off the last single crochet. Now make one more puff stitch. After finishing off that puff stitch, your hook should have a gray loop on it. Then single crochet into every remaining stitch, and that'll end the round. It's a good idea to count your stitches at this point and make sure you have 30. You good? When you're done, make sure you come back and cut off that white yarn. I like to tie the 2 white yarn tails together and then just leave them inside my work. Alright, rounds 8 through 10 are just a single crochet into every stitch. I'd say the hard part here is making sure you keep track of your completed rounds. I use a manual row counter for this, and I usually wear it around my neck. This helps me from losing it because I only crochet at the desk when I'm making these tutorials. I'm pretty sure you don't need me for all those rounds, so let me take you to round 11. We're going to reduce the total stitch count down to 24 by making a single crochet in the next 3 stitches. make a decrease. That sequence of 3 single crochets and a decrease should be repeated 5 more times. Then, in rounds 12 and 13, just single crochet in all 24 stitches. Again, I don't think you need to see me make all those stitches, so let me take you to the next round. This is round 14. Single crochet in the next 10 stitches. Then, make a decrease. You should have enough stitches remaining to repeat those single crochets and end the round with the decrease. For round 15, put a single crochet into all 22 stitches. Ready to go to the next round? Single crochet in the next 9 stitches. Now decrease over the next 2. Repeat that once more to end the round with a total of 20 stitches. Now for rounds 17 and 18, single crochet in all 20 stitches. You're almost done, so let me show you how to crochet that last round. In round 19, we aren't going to crochet all the way around. We only need to put a single crochet in the next 17 stitches. It's going to be helpful if you mark the front loop of the next stitch, and then fasten off without leaving a long tail. Now let's take some time to completely stuff this first leg. I like to make sure that I lightly stuff the top half of the leg, just because we're going to fold it in half and stitch up the top in just a bit. Okay, it's time to do something with that yarn tail sticking out of the bottom of the leg. I'm using this super long Susan Bates weaving needle because it just makes the job easy. Insert your needle into the center of that magic ring, going straight through the center of the leg. Then, I like to switch over to a smaller darning needle for this next step. You're going to want to put this yarn tail through somewhere in the center of one of those back loops. Yeah, just somewhere in the middle, and then go ahead and make a knot. But before you make that knot, make sure you've pulled that yarn tail tight so it sucks in the bottom of the leg just a little bit. Now this next part can be tricky. We need to close up the top of the leg. By folding it in half, I insert my needle through the back loop of the last single crochet we made in round 19, and then whip stitching around the back loops that line up with each other. When you're done, make a knot near that last whip stitch and weave in the tail. If you have one, it looks like I ran out of length on this yarn tail, so I'm just going to leave it there. Making the second leg is pretty much the same as the first one. You're going to use the same instructions to crochet rounds 1 all the way up until round 18. Since we already did all of those rounds together on camera, let me just go ahead and take you to round 19 of that second leg. You want to put a single crochet in the next 28 stitches. I know this round only has 20 stitches, so this is going to take you completely around the leg and past the point where we started. We should end somewhere near the side of the leg. Don't fasten off yet. Instead, remove your hook and put a stitch marker in that working loop. It's going to be helpful if you mark the front loop of the next stitch. Now you can completely stuff the leg. Oh, and just a tip here. When you're stuffing that second leg, it might be helpful to compare it to the first one just so you kind of get the right size. I tend to overstuff or understuff the second leg without going through this step of comparing them. So if you want them to be a little bit more identical, just kind of watch and see how much stuffing you're putting in there, and hopefully you'll end up with something that's pretty close. When you're done, using those whip stitches, close it up, just like we did with the first leg. You see, I've got more of a longer tail now. I kind of learned my lesson from that first go around.
I'm going to have to stop the tutorial there because we'll join the legs and continue crocheting the body, but that's something I still need to figure out. If you watched that video, you know that I used a much larger hook to crochet the body, and that's one thing that I'm changing about this pattern. So I need to redesign the body before I can show you how to join them together. If you want to learn more about when I'm releasing new patterns, just sign up for my newsletter. I'll leave a link in the description. That's going to be it for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stick around for more. Thanks for watching.